writer, podcaster, artist, or indie creator of any kind, you'll know what a struggle it can be to find creative services at an affordable price. And that's where Gig comes in. The global indie group has everything you need under one roof. You can connect with publishers, writers, editors, artists, videographers, musicians, composers, voiceover artists, podcasters, and more.
Hi, I'm Lori Calcaterra, and I'm on Gig.
Hi, this is Ben from Comic Book Squares, and we're on Gig.
This is George Medina, and I'm on Gig.
Hi, I'm Morgan, and I'm on Gig.
I'm Lauren.
And I'm Matt, and we're Hops Geek News,
a geek-centric, beer-loving pop culture podcast.
We're on Gig.
Cheers.
Hi, I'm Letzi, and I'm on Gig.
Hi, I'm Witty, and I'm on Gig.
We're on Gig.
Head to globalindiegroup.com now and check it out.
Everyone, welcome to another episode of Indie Comics Relay. I'm your host, Keith Gleason, creator of the Mighty Mascots and promoter for the Plastic City Comic Con. With me is always Johnny C., creator of Sartana, Surrounded by Death, and The Pond for Roger Morocco.
For my good cousin Roger.
And our third co-host, Harry G., graphic artist extraordinaire.
Hello.
What's going on, gentlemen?
Hey, what's up?
Not much. I guess we should start off by saying, like, we got a crazy couple of weeks here coming up.
Crazy.
Mm-hmm. It's only Monday.
Yeah, I know. It's only Monday. But, like, for the show, like, we just had so many good guests come together. It's the time of year. I think, like, April and March is, like, when everybody's kind of starting to get their first Kickstarter out for the year, you know? It feels like it's March, and then, like, maybe, like, September or October, right, is usually the really, like, busy moments, you know, for the campaign stuff.
I feel like there's a glut of campaigns right now, right? And I feel like people's numbers are starting to show as a result of that. You know what I mean? I feel like if there was less campaigns out there, people could probably perform better individually. You know what I mean? And I think about that sometimes. I'm like, how can they mitigate that? How can we make it so that one platform isn't flooded all the time?
Oh, right. Yeah.
You know what I mean? Where it's just like, how can you mitigate that? How can you offset so that, you know, when you're running your campaign, you're not doing it amidst so many other people at the same time? Which is impossible to do because there's a lot of creators out there.
You're going to bump into anyone. Even if you launch it in like December, you're going to bump into people, you know?
I remember when I was trying to find a date to launch the Surrounded by Death campaign, it was just like, you know, I was like, oh, I'm going to do it in March. And then, like, I had friends who were launching in March. I was like, I don't want to step on their toes. And then it was like, oh, I'm going to do, So that I kept deferring it up until I launched in like the end of June or July or whenever it was. But it was just like, you have to realize you're gonna launch against other people. The key is to work with them, right? Yeah. Cross promote, get the word out. You know what I mean? And that's kind of what we do in the show. We get the word. We help get the word out. You know, cross promote when we can.
That's like that's like every creative pool, though. You know what I mean? Like no matter what creative thing you're doing, you know what area of creativity you're in. You know, it's like
you're gonna bump heads.
Yeah.
I'd love to see like a graph of like how many like to see, if the amount of crowdfunding and every like platform is growing, exponentially over the years. I would love to see that, just to see
And
what
then
that
you would shoot
data
for
looks
the
like.
dips. Like when the graph dips, that's when you promote your
Well,
campaign.
my theory is that because there's less. It feels like the comic industry is getting smaller as far as like DC's putting out less books. I think Marvel's putting out more to kind of counter that, but and I think there's less people going into shops for their weekly books now. And I think these creators that were, working on stuff are now moving into crowdfunding, doing their own thing. So it seems like there's more people doing crowdfunding than, the people that are already here still doing it, so
I can now see the need, or the necessity, I should say, for doing a second chance campaign on an alternate platform.
Oh,
you know
yeah,
what I mean?
definitely.
That makes a lot more sense when you're looking at it where you're flooded. You need that second opportunity for people who missed it the first time, or maybe people who are only exclusive to one platform or the other,
Oh, yeah, absolutely. But what I wanted to say before we bring in the guests tonight is
Yeah.
so we're going to be live tonight, and we're going to be live Wednesday. Wednesday is really exciting because we got the creative team from Zen the Intergalactic Ninja coming on, which is a huge property from indie property from the 80s. I mean, they had video games, toys, they even had a cartoon, I believe. So that's kind of cool.
Did, yeah. That was a fine era for indie comics, because
that was
folks were just getting plucked out of nowhere and just being made into new properties.
Yeah.
It's the reason why we have cult classics like The Crow.
Yep.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely. And then next week we got craziness too. We got Brandon Blocksdorf, I think, on Monday coming in, who's the guy who runs the official Comics Wellspring podcast, and we
one of my
absolute find out about
printers.
They're one of the best printers in the industry, I think, and I'd love to find out how that whole came apart. It came together, and he's a good interviewer. I've watched a couple of his videos, so if you guys get a chance, check out the Comics Wellspring podcast. And then I forget. We have Wednesday we have Hades from is it Any One World?
Any One World, but also from Global Indie Group.
Yeah.
Yep.
So yeah, these next 2 weeks are nuts. So we got a lot of people, we're trying to help, and we can.
I got C2E2 coming up as well.
Oh, that's right. When is that?
So I'm leaving Wednesday to Tuesday.
Oh, so
of the following week. I won't think I'll be there for the Hades one.
Oh, you won't? Okay.
Yeah.
We'll try to make it. Well, me and Harry will do it, and maybe
I have complete faith in you guys. You guys
you can be on location again.
Yeah.
Well, if I can make it work, I'll make it work. But
yeah. Come on with your cell phone or something.
Yeah.
Cool. Awesome. So and then one thing I wanted to talk about too. We were talking with the guests out back, and we were talking about AI and how AI's kind of come in like a come in like a lion now,
like a wrecking ball.
Like a wrecking ball. And we're just kind of talking about the stuff we're seeing, and how it's going to change and over the years. And if you guys have anything in the comments that you want to add to an AI, stuff that you're seeing in the comic industry, and how people are using it or misusing it, definitely send us some comments, because we love to hear your thoughts. But without further ado, let's bring in tonight's guest. One we've had on the show before, but it's been a long time. And I've worked with him doing lettering, and he's done Plastic City. He's a good friend. I just haven't seen him in a while. And then also a new guy that you met in New York, right, Johnny?
Yep. So I met JayDee in New York at New York Comic Con as George Medina and I were setting up our booth, and he came on by. He brought me a very warm welcome, and
Nice.
He's a real stand-up guy. And
Awesome.
And here's the thing too, is that we got into a little tit for tat about football teams. But even so, he welcomed me as an outsider in his great state of New York. So
I could see
I have
in
to
the green
greatly
room
appreciate him. Good guy. Can't wait to talk a little bit more about his project.
Well, I could see him in the backstage laughing his ass off on the camera.
So we're talking about second chance campaigns. He's doing a second chance campaign on the same platform. So I mean,
cool.
yeah, we can talk to him a little bit about that.
Eyes. Yeah, definitely. All right. So without further ado, let's bring in tonight's guest. I'm going to start, of course, with the man of Vector Comics, Mr. Jeffrey Haas. What's up, Jeff?
Hey, how's it going, everyone? Thank you.
Hey, Jeff, welcome back, man.
Thank you. Glad to be back.
Yeah, it's great to have you here. And then our second guest tonight, Mr. JayDee Rosario. Is that how you say it?
Rosario.
Rosario.
Yeah. Harry, Johnny, Keith,
Hey.
what's up?
Morning.
Jeff, what's doing and what's going on? Streamland, everybody
Hello.
watching tonight. How's everything going on?
Oh, it's great.
So
I'm
glad to be on with you guys tonight.
Yeah, absolutely. And JD is also. Are you the owner of Unstoppable Comics?
I have.
JD?
I've been making
Awesome.
comic books since 2008.
Oh,
wow.
sweet.
Yeah.
Nice. And before we get into the interview, I'm just gonna zip through the chat here real quick.
Yeah,
and
let's
just say
do
hi
it.
to everybody. We got my wife, of course, moderating things out there. Good evening, Amy's Birdhouse. Scary Good is in the chat with us tonight. Hail chat. Tortuga. Thanks for joining us, Tortuga.
Tortuga means turtle.
Oh, nice.
Yes,
Amy Birdhouse
My
said
Spanish
home
isn't great.
stretch to 1,000 subscribers. Help the channel grow and please subscribe.
Yes,
yeah, we had
please
a little growth spurt, Johnny and Harry. We're about
really?
25 subs away from 1,000. So
Oh,
we're
wow.
getting really close.
Nice.
Wow.
Yeah.
What happens after 1,000? Is it like Valhalla? Like what's going to happen?
Probably in reality, nothing. But like,
I just feel like there's this wonderland waiting for us on the other side of 1,000 subscribers.
Well,
yeah.
It's when you get to make money. It's when you can make money off the platform.
Oh,
Yeah,
really? Did we get
Correct me
monetized?
if I'm wrong. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I heard after you hit 1,000 subscribers is when the algorithm actually starts to help you. Huge, I think.
It's when Skynet wakes up.
Yep.
Yes. Well, I think their mark for 1,000 is like trying to. It's like with any industry, they try to see who's serious about being YouTubers. Because it takes so long to get to that level.
Yes.
So I think that's probably how they weed out the men from the boys, if or whatever. That's my guess, anyways. I don't know any of this to be true, but
I just want to be the boy among men.
Well,
Yeah.
you gotta come my way. I'm definitely could use some subscribers. Send some over to my show.
Yeah, absolutely. We'll
Over to
definitely
these guys.
We'll definitely mention the channel too tonight, so we can. Jeff does a lot of interviews with awesome comic creators. So
Nice.
You just did some. You've done some really good ones lately too.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, I was looking at the channel and I was like, "Holy crap!" He's had some amazing guests on.
I've been pretty lucky of late. I've been getting some really good ones.
That's awesome, man. That's the way to do it, though.
We'll
I
have
heard
to-
JayDee Rosario is a really great guest. We'll have to put that one in the books.
Yeah, certainly.
Well, they were saying backstage. that
Hey,
they've been
Johnny,
on-
why you gotta be nice to me, bro? You know what I mean? I wanna go for this Boston, New York hate, and then
No.
you bro.
That's not how we do around here, bro.
Lots of love tonight. Lots of love.
Always got to be promoting, my man.
Got to,
always
brother.
got to.
You got to.
You know what it is. You know what it is. You got to uplift your brothers and then uplift
yeah, man.
yourself. You know what I mean? And that's kind of like how that's how the rising tides raises all boats.
Yeah.
But the intricacies of that is helping your fellow man before you help for yourself, and that's how.
But you can also have fun. You know what I mean? Cracking on your people.
Yes.
You know
Yeah,
what I mean?
like a friendly banter.
Definitely,
absolutely.
Dude, sometimes today I see people are just so tense. Just let it down. Like you guys mentioned competition a moment ago, and I feel competition is healthy, right? I can have a ball game with anybody and still have a beer afterwards, right? That's how I see it, right? I can want to win a race with you, and not trip you while we're racing.
Right.
And too many people are out there trying to like jump on other creators, and it's really not necessary.
That's only if you're a good sportsman, though. That works out because I was playing in a softball game one time, and there was a kid that was like mouthing off the whole game, and at the end, you line up and like shake hands and give high fives, like, oh, good game. I high five everybody else, and I skipped him, high five everybody else. It's like, whoa, did you see that? I'm like, and he wanted like to beat the crap out of me, but My friends helped me back. Like, how did you do that? I'm like, yeah, he's a jerk. I'm not gonna shake his hand. I'm very competitive.
I was just gonna say,
Harry. Oh, sorry.
No, sorry, Jay. I was just gonna actually tell a story specifically to that about me witnessing that with you, Jay. So when you came over, when I met you, you brought some drinks over for us, right?
You said a warm welcome. I didn't want to.
Yeah, I didn't want to get into details, but I said you brought over a warm welcome. So he brought over a couple of drinks. George, clever guy that he is, pulled a little prank and goes, "Man, don't you know I'm 8 years sober?" And the look of sincerity on Jay's face, because he felt genuinely sorry that he, breached this guy's kind of, this guy's thing. And then George couldn't hold a straight face. He was like, "Nah, man, I'm messing with you." And just how well Jay took that joke and that prank told me how good of a guy he was. And I was like, okay, he's good people.
Yeah, because you got to think, Johnny, that's dangerous with somebody you don't know. Like, you don't know their personality.
Right,
But George took that shot and it worked out.
Yeah, for sure. Well, you know George anyway, though, right? You knew George for a while?
I've known George for a little while now.
Okay.
Through these circles, right? But that's how I am with conventions, right? When you get that downtime or before the doors open up, you go by
after hours.
Right, or after hours, right? And you chew the fat with other creators because you may learn something new. You may meet new people that can open up other doors for you, or you may just find somebody you can have a good time with, right?
That's the best thing at conventions. I think, like that camaraderie with all the
there really isn't too many like bad things that happen at conventions. Everyone's there for the same reason. Like creativity and appreciating art and creativity. And learning and.
I really find a lot like you mentioned, JD, about the negativity and the awfulness sometimes in the comic industry. Like, I find most of that is online. Like, when you're in person in the conventions, I don't see it that much there. Once in a blue moon something will happen, but it's very like limited.
Yeah, I've seen that happen as well, right? They're very few and far between. And when you're within these circles, when you're out there grinding it out, you meet people and okay, I don't want to use the term, who the real ones are, but those who've been around the block. You know those people who understand convention etiquette, right? And you understand you spent a lot of money to be at the show. You don't really want to do anything to ruin it or cost you. Right. And then you see those other knuckleheads out there, and those other knuckleheads, all right, you stay away from them.
This is exactly what Ghostbusters 2 is all about. With the mood slime and everything.
The mood slime.
I remember that. And
it was under New York, right?
Right, exactly. The Statue of Liberty saved everything.
There was a lot of anger in that movie.
It really was. It really was.
Oh, that's great.
I think we digress, though, right?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Let me zip through the rest of the comments here too. We got
let's fly through them.
BMD Nerd is with us. I just saw someone do a second chance campaign on the same platform.
Yeah,
is that who you were talking about, Johnny? Or
no, I was talking about JD because I know JD. This is the second time you're running this campaign, right?
This is the second time, yeah.
Yeah.
The first time we did it was right after New York Comic Con, and we did really good selling issues number 1 and 2, and some of the pins and some of the other associated merchandise with this. And I ended up flipping the tables and putting this as my next campaign without a lot of lead up time. And while I was promoting something else, because of the way sales had performed and the interest that we generated off the con, I'm like, I got to capitalize on that, right? I got to strike while the iron is hot. Yeah. Well, you know what? The iron was too hot, and I burnt myself on it. So we let it rest. We went into the holidays. We ran the other campaign that was supposed to run instead. It did good, and now we're running this. And we added, a few more things to it, a few more stretch goals, a few more covers. A few more shirts, things like that, that I didn't have the time to put that in because I was trying to rush it the first time. Right.
Gotcha.
The great thing about these campaigns is you learn something.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
I was gonna pick both you guys' brains too about me and Johnny have been talking. We talked. Remember, Johnny, we had that discussion maybe about a month ago about whether we if we do a campaign this year, which I'm planning on, but probably be maybe late summer or something by the time I get it going. But like should we do like 2 different comics on a campaign, or if we should do just the one comic, you know? Like, have you guys ever done that? Like, so say you're doing 2 different series.
I've seen it with clients that I've had, 'cause I do publicist work on the side.
Okay.
It's never gone as well as you would hope it does. Usually what happens is the people who are coming in for one project, it usually cuts them in half. Just like I said, they're not buying both books. They'll usually come in, they'll either buy them both, usually one book or the other, kind of splits the audience a little bit.
Gotcha.
I've never seen it actually boost both books up.
Gotcha. So like you're saying that like someone will come in and they'll probably buy one and
right.
like maybe wait to your next campaign to get the other, or not at all.
Right. Because I feel like, especially nowadays, people have a finite amount of money. They're going to buy a finite amount of things in a given time. So you're not going to convince them to suddenly spend $25. Now you have 2 books. They'll buy one book, and they will not be able. Basically, you're competing with yourself. You're not going to be able to afford the other book. They'll buy the one book. The other one's going to have to wait because it's maybe the lesser popular of the 2. Somehow has a smaller audience of the 2, so it actually gets taken over by one, not the other.
Gotcha.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, and if I can add to that, you're shortchanging yourself too, right? Because both creators spent a certain amount of money to make those books. Are you going to divide it straight down the line? Or are you going to divide it by, this one sold this many copies, that one sold that many copies, and you distribute the funds that way? It becomes that much more complicated.
Gotcha. Yeah.
There's a lot of variables that come into play
Oh, yeah.
if you're doing it, depending upon how the book is put together. If you have, like you said, JD, multiple creative teams, or if it's 2 different projects, that promotes a lot of different variables, like you said, where Jeff, like you said, you're not quite sure how it could go. It could go either way, really,
Mm-hmm.
And the prices too, that it seems to be like 25 now. It seems to be the standard price level for stuff, even if it's like a 32 page. I see that a lot. Like I don't personally do that, but like I think people are trying. It's too much. Like I think my usually go to is I try to get like at the lowest perk level like $10, or then like maybe 5 for the the digital or whatever.
And that's the difference between the 2 books, right? What if one price point of the book is different than the other, but then the page counts are different, but one was more expensive because the artist is more expensive,
right?
How do you kind of justify those intricacies when somebody who's just kind of like bare bones shopping, you know what I mean? You'd have to really explain that in the campaign page and hope that gets through. But again, another one of those variables, like you said, where it doesn't quite line up. You're almost you're working against yourself, as you said.
Right.
You know what I mean?
The other potential problem I think could be, and it may just be in my head, but it's like a math issue as well. Let's say you need $10,000 to hit your goal. One comic made $8,000, the one made $2,000. They both probably need to make about $5,000. The person who made the $2,000 is now going to have to be forced to finish the project because they completed the campaign without making the money they needed to make to finish it. So now you're
going
playing at a loss, because now instead of having the money you thought you needed, you still got to sell the same. You still got to make the book. Now you only have like half.
Still got to figure it out somehow, right?
Yeah, that's the problem with like you go lowballing yourself and hoping that you make it back with stretch goals.
Right.
Yeah, that's definitely a reality.
But then you're also missing out the opportunity of cross promotion, right? So book A could grab these 30 eyes over here. Book B could grab these 40 eyes over there, right? You run something concurrently that people can get if they back both.
Are you saying like 2 separate campaigns, or?
Yeah, dude. Yeah. And then Jeff, he had mentioned earlier, he wants to hire his own mascot, right? Mm-hmm. I think sorry, that was in the green room that you said that, right? I'm sorry.
Yeah, green room.
But in a way that ends up happening, right? Both of you can tackle different podcasts on different days, right? Getting more eyes on both projects, and in your updates you could cross promote. I think there's more opportunities to run 2 separate ones at the same time.
Yeah, I mean, keep in mind, like having been a publicist for a few years now, and I've been part of a lot of projects. Every Kickstarter is a massive undertaking.
Oh yeah.
Oh, it is.
Time, energy, the stress thing. that's involved with it as well, just the mental
stress.
Stress of it. I would say
100%.
You're better off if you're that tight with your project, have the one person do their project one time, and then when after 30 days, let the other one launch and start something again, or usually give a month or so in between. To try to do two. I've seen people try it. They're definitely grayer by the time it's over. A little thinner up in the hair area. I would imagine. I don't recommend it. Like I said, I've tried also to help people with two at the same time.
You guys have not met Carissa Grant then.
Oh God, Carissa Grant.
Carissa, yeah.
Oh, you do know
her output.
She's awesome.
She does like 9 Kickstarters a year, I think, or
something. And overperforms on every one. Like she's blessed. Yeah. What can I say?
And I'm not
blessed.
even exaggerating that number.
Well, the thing with Carissa Grant, and I've got I've interviewed her on my show once, and I've been able to talk with her. She's like the queen of like reward tiers. Like I've never seen someone with such creative reward tiers. It's envious. And and on the one hand, I mean, it's also expensive too. How you got to pay a lot up front to make it pull it off, but she's like the queen, like she's like God level award tier.
God level, yeah, definitely God level, yeah, for sure.
I look at her campaign and I'm like, this campaign would take me a year to build. Like, there's so much stuff in it.
Yeah, and she's got it like that, just like that. Real quick, big shout out to BMD Nerd. It actually just clicked in my head. He reviewed Surrounded by Death for me during my campaign.
Oh, very cool.
So big shout out to BMD Nerd. Thank you for doing that. If I recall correctly, he enjoyed the book.
So I just realized, is everybody here writers? You guys are all writers, right?
Yeah.
This is kind of like a second, writers podcast
roundtable part 2.
Part 2, yeah. I just realized I'm the only non-writer though, by the way. So I'll just.
Which means your perspective is that much more valuable.
Yes, sir. I finally matter.
All right,
I live long enough.
Yeah, exactly. Let me zip through the rest of these comments here. Amy's Birdhouse says lots of great shows coming up. Let me see. And what she say? AI do one. I do one bow down before our robot overlords.
It's gonna be that way.
Oh yeah.
It's gonna be that
people in Boston are much nicer than everyone says we are. As for New York,
we'll help you move. We'll help you move, but we'll make fun of you throughout the whole time. Oh, you gotta move a couch out, your stupid couch over here. Yeah. This thing looks dumb anyway. Here you go.
Exactly. She says 2 titles on one campaign. People seem to struggle with choices. Focus on one at a time. Yeah, I think that's a valid.
I'm sorry, Keith. I didn't mean to step on you there. But there's something to be said about a very simplified campaign that doesn't offer too much. It's very straightforward. You know what I mean? Like people love that. I don't know why, they just love that.
I think that's what I'm gonna do. Maybe whittle it down to 4 or 5 perk levels, and that's it. Like
you know what the other thing of, we're all creative. That's our own problem, right? That's part of it's our blessing and our curse, because you know what? We get creative during a campaign. We're like, oh, I want to do keychains. We're almost like our own worst enemy, where we want to make the perks cooler and bigger and better than the next guy. And we dig ourselves into these holes of like making these grandiose things. You know what I mean? Like, Keith, you struggled really hard with making those figures, and you're still kind of working through it. You know what I mean?
Still don't have them yet.
Think about that, though. It's like we're also kind of our own worst enemy in that regard.
I think we all have like post-campaign like nerves, like for my campaign, I'm doing the t-shirts, and I've done a t-shirt before, but I'm thinking to myself, man, I'm gonna fill some damn t-shirts now. Like, please God, make this go well.
Yeah, I know. I've done t-shirts a couple times, and it's like, you don't want. It's tough. Like, do you order more and hope to sell them at conventions, or
they're easier? They're cheaper now, because now they have like a digital printing, instead of like the screen printing, which costs like $1 zillion, But anyway,
this genius right here, and I don't use that term in a nice way. At one point, had set up his own silk screening setup here in the apartment to try to be more cost effective, to try to build a better mousetrap, right? Because I can buy a ton of shirts at different sizes. All I need is one screen. Building a better mousetrap just means I'm just gonna get caught a hell of a lot quicker in my own.
Well, I kind of feel like the t-shirt thing. I don't know how companies do it, because like I said, when I've made the t-shirts before, and I've done it before, and I've sold some of my conventions, guessing the right size is a rough one. It's like, you know, you got large, you got small, but the amount of other sizes you're not thinking about, that's what's going to cost you your sales. It's quite a bit.
Yeah. You gotta get stretch t-shirts, like stretchy material for if you guess wrong.
Yeah, absolutely. Was it Tortuga says, "Oh my God, math."
Oh, we all hate math. I hate math.
And BMD Nerd says, "Shout out to you, Johnny C. You were the first person to ever send me something to review back when my site was still a blog. Still waiting for Surrounded by Death #3.
Oh, thanks, man. That means a lot. I appreciate that. Everybody who's still waiting for Surrounded by Death #3, I highly encourage you to poke Joe Martinez, whether it's on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter.
Poke in a loving way, though. Right?
In a loving way. Don't attack him. No, that's not what I'm saying.
Too loving, though.
Just go, hey man, release some, progress on Surrounded by Death 3. Like, let's see where you're at. Because I think he just gets bashful about some stuff. You know what I mean? Like, he's just in his zone. He's an illustrator. He does an awesome job. But you know what I mean? Like, so, ping him, say, hey, where we at?
Yeah, or maybe you can encourage him to show a panel or something. That'd be cool.
Yeah. Well, he did the page. There was a page recently that he did.
Oh, that made it up there. Oh, that's right. Yeah, it was a while ago, though, right?
Yeah.
Wasn't it?
Well, a couple months ago, maybe. Or
maybe we can
whatever,
reshare. Keep it fresh.
Keep the momentum going. Yeah. Hell's yeah.
Awesome.
He just, you know what? He takes his sweet time because he does a really good job. So I don't really question him on it. I just assume it's going to be done when it's done.
Wow, absolutely.
Yep.
All right. So we zip through the comments, and I'm sure we'll get more as the show goes on. But one thing we forgot to ask JD, our new guest question that we ask everybody.
Yeah. We should circle it back around to Jeff too, just as a refresher.
Yeah, absolutely. So JD, we're always fascinated by how you got into comics and like what comic you read, or it could be a TV show or movie, cartoon, whatever, but like that put you on the path to wanting to make comics. Like, is there something that you can kind of point to in your past that
it wasn't just one thing though. So
okay.
My dad got me into comic books. Unfortunately, he passed away very young. I was young too.
I'm sorry to
I was
hear
6
that.
years old when he passed, and he was 33. But he was the one that got me started in the path. I remember watching cartoons with him and stuff like that. Unfortunately, the Spider-Man and His Amazing Friends episode where Iceman made his debut, the first appearance was the day after he passed away. So I remember everybody gathering in my house and being sent to the bedroom while people were coming over to mourn, and that was on. And it's like, I don't know why that stuck. But I grew up poor, and going to grandma's house on the weekends, there used to be this little bodega, a corner store that would sell used comic books for 50 cents a pop. So for $2, I was like, hell yeah, we go to grandma's today, baby. And that was twofold. So mom encouraged that because I was reading something, right? And she was with that. And it was keeping me off the streets from being an knucklehead because I was devouring the books and I was drawing them and just doing whatever, trying to recreate what was happening in it.
That's
my
cool.
aunt took me to my very first comic book shop, and I bought X Factor number 42, an Arthur Adams book. The first book I bought continuously was off the spinner rack at a Barnes and Nobles, and it was the Captain America series, the Kieran Dwyer stuff. When Steve had given up the shield and
coming
in, so I was picking that up fresh off the stands. That was cool, and the Ron Lim Silver Surfer stuff. I know a lot of people, talk about Buscema doing it, and I'm not knocking that. He's got his place, but my Silver Surfer guy is Ron Lim.
A lot of us grew up with Ron Lim, so I get that.
So I was coming in that heyday of comic books while I was starting to find out where to pick them up. So I got those Jim Lee first books right off the racks. I got those Todd McFarlane early assassination plots and early Spider-Man.
Spider-Mans, dude.
I picked them up straight. I picked up the Jack Kirby Superpowers comics. Right, those are my only Jack Kirby books that I ever purchased with my own box. So comic books have always been in my life. One of my grandmothers is Afro Latina, and I remember being in Puerto Rico, going back to that Captain America series. So that issue where John Walker and Lamar Hoskins are jumping out the cover, and it's Captain America and Bucky, right? In Spanish, she said to me, "Oh, look, one of them looks like you, and one of them looks like me," and that's a great pairing. You know what I mean? That's a moment that I had with my grandmother. So it's just always been there, always circulated around my life. And now, well, I got these Stan Lee sideburns. So what other profession can I be in? What comic books, man?
Yeah. Oh, that's awesome.
It was like it was destined. You were born for it.
I have to be, dude.
Also, how hot was Firestar? Yeah, really, she was pretty.
Oh,
that's just. Damn, she was hot.
I was more psyched that they converted an entire apartment into a headquarters. You know,
that was pretty cool.
Trophy,
that was like Quagmire's like makeup pad. You know,
everything just flipped open, man.
I love the Incredible Hulk poster on the wall in the background.
Oh, yeah, cool,
that was my favorite.
Cross promotion.
But yeah, no, that's true. Like, how did they make that whole thing work? You know, but that cartoon was. I mean, I think a lot of people we've had that answer a lot of times on this show.
That's a generational answer, right? Like you date yourself a little bit, but you like it shows. You're like, okay, you're from that era of appreciation. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
but there were so many great books back then in that era, though. Too, like it was like formative stuff. Like that, really was. Like you said, the Jim Starlin, Ron Lim Surfers, or and all that leading up to like Infinity Gauntlet and all that stuff.
Even what was like the lesser tiered books in other people's opinions, for me was great. Like Doctor Strange and Cloak and Dagger. They had a half book, right? And I remember picking those up fresh. Even G.I. Joe stuff was good.
Well, that and you're discovering characters for the first time. That was like huge. I thought, like, I never heard of Power Pack, so like let me check out their book, and there was so many like weird ones around that time. It's really cool.
Oh yeah, dude, Black Wolf. Like what the hell was that? I know a lot of people are freaking out, but that was early Angel Medina stuff, and I would love to get that. That was they took the oh my god, the Bad Eternals, the ones that look like monsters. What were they?
Deviants.
Deviants. So it was a group of deviants that also lived in an underground city under New York, right? Combine that with the Morlocks, they were running out of space. But that was an okay book. I was with that.
Yeah. Oh yeah, definitely. And Jeff, what I forget. I know we've had you on and we've asked you that question. I just forget what your answer was. It's because it's been so long.
It's been I think a few years.
Yeah, it has been.
I've been on.
I know we've tried to have you on a couple times, but it was like because we book out so far that we haven't been able to do it. But I'm glad we finally were able to get you on.
Thank you. I guess for me, well, my father was a comic book fan growing up, so it's like in my bloodline. Like I'm a second generation comic book nerd. My earliest memory of a comic book that kind of hooked me was Just Leave America, comic by Jerry Conway. For some reason, there was a panel of a red tornado like flying towards to save save a helicopter. Okay. I remember reading it so much that the cover and the pages are all torn apart and everything. For some reason, that just stuck in my brain forever. That one panel, and I just fell in love with Green Lantern, and I've been buying Green Lantern since the early 90s. I always brag that I have every single Green Lantern ever made after the first issue of Green Lantern from the 1960s. Every single one.
That's awesome.
All spin-off series, annual miniseries, all of them. I have all of them. Like I said, it just kind of like got into my bloodline, and at some point, it was like no turning back. Like I can't like stop playing because like I can't lose my runs. Like I keep going with it, and it's been it's all came down to that one panel with Red Tornado that somehow just captured my imagination forever.
That's awesome. Yeah, no, I love that character too. Like ever since he became like the mentor for like Young Justice too. That was so cool,
He's the most tragically underutilized character in all of DC. Like, I don't understand why they haven't found a way to make him cool.
Yeah, no, I mean, the dude rides a tornado. Like,
Right.
you know, like he creates a tornado and rides it. It's like, you know,
he has an arrow pointing to his nose and still looks cool. I don't know how he does it. It's an awesome character.
Who's the inspiration for the last Avatar, right? For Aang.
Oh,
right?
yeah.
Oh, that's true. Yeah.
But who came out first, the Red Tornado or Samurai from Super Friends?
Well,
Oh,
the Red Tornado
geez.
came from the 60s. He was originally
Okay,
a villain for a couple, then he got
was
turned into a hero.
Wasn't Samurai another character that they changed or something like from
I thought
DC?
they brought him on to like because him and Black Vulcan and
Well, the Black Vulcan was supposed to be Black Lightning, I think.
El
but-
Dorado, you know, because like they all brought them on to cover all the cultural.
Could have sworn Samurai was supposed to be someone else too, but I don't remember.
My
which
favorite was
character it would
I
be.
love the Apache Chief too, but you know, he was very limited. Like he just grew
Yeah.
to be tall, you know.
And talk about a character too that never was, you know, you don't see anymore. Like he's not in the comics at all.
You know what I love? There was one episode of the Super Friends with the Apache Chief. I think maybe his origin story, kind of where he came. You saw his tribe, and each member of his tribe had powers too. You know what I mean? Like where is that?
Cool.
Where is that tribe? There's like one guy that turned into a wolf, you know, or it's like cool. You know, I want to know more about that tribe. You know, like
Yeah,
sounds pretty cool.
Absolutely.
like-
I remember one episode of the Super Friends that I still crack up about to this day was like there was an episode where the Legion of Doom wanted to change the entire world into
right,
like
they went back-
cheetahs and
Oh,
bizarros.
yeah, I remember that. Too.
And I was like, what the hell were they going to do with them all? Like, you know what I mean? Like,
My favorite one though was when the Legion of Doom went back in time. They had some kind of time machine or whatever, and it changed the moment where the Super Friends turned into superheroes. You know what I mean? Like whatever. Like they diverted Superman's ship to go somewhere else. You know, they like one woman like cheated or she like failed the test and never became the Amazon. You know, chosen.
oh,
to
they
go
just
to.
stole that for the
That's just
Ultimate
what if.
Universe.
Right.
That's going on right now.
I got all of these Super Friends box sets,
Mhm.
and the one episode that I loved is not on any of them, and it's
Oh, which
where
one?
they were fighting Dracula.
Yes,
and
and
Robin-
Batman and Robin turned to Dracula.
Yes, I remember that one.
The one was one where there was like a Frankenstein Batman too, you know, and the only
I don't remember that.
Oh, I think it was Dr. Frankenstein that turned Batman into like this. I think they stole the powers of every super friend and they put them into one super friend, and it was Batman.
No,
and then,
it was Robin with the Dracula episode.
But then
There was another one?
the only way to combat Batman was to make Robin be the same thing. They put any residual power that was left in the Super Friends into Robin. And
yes,
like,
yes.
Remember that? Okay.
Yes, it was the residual power. That's
Yes.
right. And Robin got a little bit bigger. He beefed up a little bit more.
Right.
He got a little
Yeah.
smaller.
Finally, he became relevant.
Yes.
The only super.
You know, those are the things though that the comic books nowadays are missing. Yeah, there should always be those kind of like for me, some of my favorite comic books was the Firestorm comic books in the 80s. They were silly, but they were fun. You know, you can't escape the fun of seeing a guy turn a bullet into like a marshmarshmallow or something like, or like a whoopee or whatever weird thing he was doing. I was like, that was fun. Some fun comic books back in the day.
Oh, absolutely. Like I think that's you hit the nail on the head there. I think that's what a lot of the modern comics are missing is like that fun. I wish, you know, and I'm okay with serious stuff. I just wish there was like a couple titles that were like that, you know, like just fun goofiness.
Well, I always been over the feeling like some titles should be like that. Like Batman, I get being dark, but come on, Firestorm has fire for hair. You make him goofy. Have fun with it.
Right. Yeah, exactly. I agree.
I think that's what reinforces all the great indie comics that are out there right now is that where they're missing in the big 2 or 3, whatever, you know, we got individuals like Jay making his book, Jeff making his book that are providing that, or they're putting that, they're filling those voids. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah.
You're giving us our flowers, Johnny, and I want to bust your chops, bro. I'm trying to ramp up to it. You know, I'm trying to find that moment.
There's still plenty of time.
Good
Still
stuff,
time.
you take that out of me, kid.
You can't do it, man. I'm the baby face. You can't do it.
I love playing a part of the heel too. You know, it's just like, what are you thinking out of me, bro?
I can't. I'm the Adam Cole to your MJF right now. At least before the backstab.
Johnny dropping some wrestling stuff.
Yeah, I did that for Brandon in the chat.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, because he's very excited that Cody Rhodes won as well.
We'll have to one of these days, Johnny. We'll have to get the compilation of you at AEW from a couple of weeks ago. Johnny was all over that episode.
I saw the pictures, man. That was your dad you were with, Johnny?
Yeah. So
cool, man.
my old man, his health is not great.
Okay.
But one of the things we can kind of share in common is watching Dynamite and watching Collision. And whenever it's local, I try to go with him. So that way we have like these awesome memories together. Right. And it started from like, we got seats in the back. And then, that was a couple of years ago. And now we kind of slowly made our way until now we're finally ringside after several years of going. And, again, his health's not great. We have to get him in there in a wheelchair and stuff, but we're there, we're doing it, we're experiencing it, we're having a blast.
That's awesome.
Nice. So one of my best friend used to run a wrestling promotion in Jersey called NWA Cyberspace. If you ever look up a video where Lex Luger's trying to cut a promo and he can't get out of his t-shirt, that was my boy's promotion.
Nice.
Yeah.
Was that real though, or that like?
No, that was straight shoot, brother.
Oh, okay.
He couldn't get out of the shirt. He was just, he was so jacked he couldn't lift it over. When your arm gets scratch your back. It was one of those moments.
Lex Luger's in tough shape nowadays.
He looks
too.
like
looks
like David Lee Roth right now, kind of.
He does. That's a very good comparison.
If you look really fast.
I think, Keith, I just need to start a podcast with Amy for like wrestling. I think that's just what's gonna, because it spills too far into Indie Comics Relay.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I opened the door. I'm
no,
sorry.
it's all good. You opened the forbidden door, Jay.
We go on the tangent, but like I've said a million times, comics and wrestling is very similar. It goes hand in hand. Same idea, good versus evil, and there's storylines that lead up to the fights. It's comics,
Yeah, that's really what it is.
Evil Lynn is Sensational Cherry, I think. Right?
That comparison. That's pretty good.
Nice.
And just for your reference, Johnny, Amy just said I'm down.
Oh, okay. We'll have to block some time. We'll have to block some
if you
time.
guys want to talk, do like a wrestling little thing on.
Yeah.
I used to be crazy into wrestling, but old school back in the 80s, like in 90s. Nowadays, like everyone's like high flying and flipping and twirling. I mean, I don't know what's going on. It's like lights.
It's a new age.
Pyrotechnics.
Yeah, it's a new age.
Yeah.
The leg drop isn't just, it doesn't satisfy as much as it did back then.
I know
now you got to do like a hurricanrana or like a
that leg
something. You got to really bring the heat.
Razzle dazzle up there.
I heard Hogan say
all elite or go home.
I heard Hogan say that leg drop was like the worst thing he ever did. If he can go back in time and change that move, like he would, because he's had like a zillion back surgeries now, like 8, 9, 10 back surgeries. It's like 2 inches shorter than he used to be because of all the it's like his vertebrae got crushed,
I think wrestling's probably the biggest occupation out there with the greatest occupational hazard, right? You're mocking combat, but you're still taking the hits,
doing all the
traveling. Your body's paying for it, and you're doing all the traveling, and your body's paying for it.
And the margin for error is huge.
Look at what the flying headbutt did to Chris Benoit.
I was just leading up to making a mention of Chris Benoit. Like this guy's signature move that he did countless times, like caused personal tragedy to him, to his wife, to his family. It's just terrible. But that's neither here nor there, and we digress. We should really talk about comics.
Yeah,
because that's what we're here for, is to talk about comics.
I don't mind the tangents. They're kind of fun, and as long as the guests are in on it, it's great.
For sure.
But yeah, no, definitely want to start talking about you guys' campaigns a little bit. The whole reason you're here. And then you guys had mentioned too backstage that you guys have been doing podcasts kind of together, huh? Like that started this week.
Traveling in the same circles, right, Joe?
Yeah. Apparently so. I was like, hey, I know that guy.
That's awesome. We love the friends and the camaraderie here,
Yeah.
So I love seeing that. So but yeah, no, did either of you guys want to, just tell us about your book? And start with one.
Jeff, start, brother. Go ahead, man.
I was gonna say, are you really letting a writer talk about themselves? Jesus Christ! You're like a for oh God, here's my moment.
Close that door.
You put an if in there. I'm just like, that's the only reason we exist, is to talk about ourselves.
I hear you, man.
So my campaign is the end of all Terminus. We are fully funded, though.
Congrats.
The goal now is backers. I want to have more backers than I had in the first campaign. That's the goal. So guys, please back my book. Even digital is $2 for the second issue. Both issues are $4, so they're cheap. So I think everyone can
bring
like
it up while we're talking here, so we can take a look at the artwork. And what's the number you need to beat with this campaign, Jeff?
1600.
1600. Okay.
1600 was the first campaign. This one is only at 1020. So I got a long way to go. So I need a lot of friends to help me out. It's a science fiction adventure action book. Take some liberties with some astrophysics physics, but basically how it works is that the universe is dying. It's called the Big Rip. It's tearing apart the universe. Atom by atom, everything's destroying. Now, the last 7 sentient species in the universe have banded together to board the Terminus, which is the spaceship, to escape from the bounds of our universe. So in my little world, the universe has an end. So the goal of the comic book is to see what happens beyond the borders of our universe. And the goal is to get there. And all these 7 species are trying to survive. None of them get along with each other. Each one thinks that they are the superior species, as humans have the same level of arrogance about ourselves. But it's basically, I try to do something a little bit different. It has action, it has a lot of action, but I try to make something that's also thought-provoking, smart, something that kind of does pair into human nature and society. Each alien species represents an aspect of humanity as well as having humans in the story. But like I said, they're the goal is, can they live together and band together enough to survive? And I will say, go ahead.
No, I was gonna say, did you draw, like, when you're saying how like the aliens are different aspects of like society and stuff, did you draw a little bit of that inspiration from like Star Trek?
I ripped off Star Trek hardcore. No, the characters like Thraxis. Anyone who likes Star Trek knows he's a ripoff of not a ripoff, but he's an homage to Klingons on some level. Mm-hmm. The Link has a little bit of the Borg in them. The Lorelians with Salah is kind of space ents from Lord of the Rings. I mean, I like all good writers, I borrowed from everybody else and try to make it work within my concept, my overarching belief in people and society. Is the first 2 issues are very much Star Trek meets the movie Aliens.
Okay.
It's kind of how that works. After that, it kind of moves a little bit more into a Star Trek, Battlestar Galactica kind of internal politics and that nature a little bit as well. But in my opinion, these are some really fun characters. I think it's something that comic books don't have enough sci-fi adventure, sci-fi action stories in it. And I'm trying to move into, try to eat up a little bit of that audience and that kind of that vacancy in the comic book world. These will be moving into color. I did make a choice to move this into color over the next couple of weeks. So these pages that being black and white will end up being colored.
Very cool.
But that's the Terminus, and the spaceship. President Lamar is a very interesting female character.
Keith, you flew by a friend of the show, Dan Price.
I saw that.
Like there's it looks like there's a cross. Is it a crossover cover you did with Dan for Bigfoot Knows Karate?
Bigfoot Knows Karate and
love Bigfoot Knows Karate
from Terminus. Dan Price is an awesome dude. I was like, I need a matchup with their character. I think this would be a fun just to see them visually together. And he agreed, and it's a fun cover. Dennis Valencia did a really cool ass kicker cover.
The art is awesome on this, Jeff. Like all around, all the covers and the interiors are great.
Oh, thank you. Chris Michael did a great. He's from comic book Crit. He did the crash of the spaceship cover. Raymond Lee did my Star Wars homage cover. That's from the poster. Have you ever seen the poster of Star Wars? That's the homage to the poster of the Star Wars. I took away some of the background. I was too distracted, but that's I guess he'd be Luke and Leia, I guess, on some weird level.
Love it.
But yeah, Brad Shipp did that cover, which is, I think, fantastic. And then there's a cover from, he did
here we are.
The Aliens cover. Yep, that's the Dan Price cover. And they're all pretty cheap. They're like $9 for the cover with shipping is like $5 or $6. So these are all easy to affordable. I try to make it affordable to everybody because, like me, I think a lot of people right now are tight on cash.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I want to make sure they were affordable to everybody. Of course, on the other hand, it means I need more backers to hit certain goals because the bites are smaller. But I think a lot of people will really find something interesting with each character. There's, I think, a species for every reader to latch onto and think this is, fascinating. Wanted to learn more about them. My favorite character is Thraxus. He's this ass-kicking warrior who's also he's very intelligent, very well spoken for what you would think he'd be, though he's also arrogant. That's Link, species of like a hive mind of technology, sort of like a Borgish mind, but they do like part of this technology, and they create like living bodies out of like metal and other tech to make more life forms out of themselves.
He looks like the robot from Lost in Space, like the
a little bit.
Yeah,
a little bit.
Yeah, you can see that.
The detail around that goes around the robot too reminds me a lot of Warlock from like New Mutants.
Yeah. It's got a little bit like a Kirby Crackle kind of vibe.
Yeah, remember how Warlock had all that weird tech around him and stuff?
Circuitry kind of looking stuff.
Yeah,
Heck yeah.
Really cool stuff.
Yeah, and
this looks awesome, Jeff. Like,
thank you. Spread the word. Like I said, it's been a bitch getting backers. Unfortunately, I said I'm up to like 28. I think last time I had like 65, so I definitely need to catch up a little. But yeah.
How long's it been since issue 1 and issue 2?
That's one of the problems. It has been a year between issues.
Gotcha.
Which is a little tough.
Yeah, it does. I mean, it's tough though to maintain that momentum all the time. Yeah. Like to finish a campaign and go right into another one. Like I always like to get like 1 or 2 books done a year and then go on like do conventions for a year and then come back and start over,
We all can't be Carissa Grant.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah,
Carissa explains it all.
Yeah.
Can I just say that right now?
She's killing it.
Yeah, she is.
The big problem in reality is that the artist has to have a day job. I can't afford to pay an artist enough to not have to work a day job. And you can't ask someone who works a day job to work at the same speed as someone who's doing this full time. It's just the reality of it. So yeah, he works a little slower. He works at a pace of basically at the moment 1 issue a year because of everything else. But it's worth it to have a good story. It's worth it, I think, to have something that is just different and that does kind of push a little more thought provoking. It's not a trashy comic book by any stretch of the imagination. It's a little elevated, and I think the elevation makes it a little special.
Yeah, that's great, man.
Nice. That's what I was saying about Surrounded by Death and Joe. It's like takes a little extra time. He's got a day job, but the work he puts out is fantastic.
Yeah, and it's like and you need the money to pay the artist, so it's like this never-ending cycle of trying to make it all happen. So
right. I mean, if anybody wants to give me enough, because basically how this works is that basically everything is going to either the artist or the printing. In this way, the goal is $1,000. It finishes the art and it's going to cover some printing, and that's all of it. If someone wants to give me enough money that pay him to work to this full time and quit his day job, I think he's all for it, and I'd be all for it. But I don't know how much money we got to make to allow someone to quit their day job at this point.
Yeah, it's tough, man. I'm trying to make a go of doing the lettering part time, and like I'm working just a part time job, so my cash is definitely tight. I used to back like tremendous amounts of campaigns, but like. But it even just the lettering stuff is feast or famine all the time. Like I'll either get 3 or 4 jobs right away in 1-2 week period, or there's nothing for 2-3 months,
So 100%. Like I do publicist work on the side and help people promote their work. There's a time where like last year where I would get 6, 7, 8 people asking for my services. Now it's down to about a couple a month. And I think the money is once again so freaking tight. And with inflation, everything else, it's just, let's face it, we often have more important things to do with our money right now than buy a comic book, unfortunately. Yeah. But I mean, like I said, as it is, food, housing, all that stuff, the insurance.
Way
more expensive than it was before. And so any person who backs anything should be appreciated for helping the community.
Absolutely.
Like someone backed me apparently just for I think $4. You know what? Thank you. That was a $4 that was probably hard to spend, and I appreciate that $4. That's a big deal for anybody.
Yeah.
So, thank you for whoever did it, and keep going. Whoever else, keep on going.
Yeah. No. And I'm the same way. Like, and Johnny is, and Jay and everybody. Like, times you do a campaign, like you're so appreciative of people that believe in you, making this comic, you know. And I guess it just comes down to normally if people have the money to back it, or if it's something that they're into. Like there might be people that aren't into sci-fi, you know, or horror or whatever you're making, you know, like and that's okay too, you know. It's just sharing a link sometimes is a huge plus, you know.
Well, I always advocate to say that if you really want to support a creator in their campaign, is go for the digital option, right? Because it's real easy for a creator to fulfill that. You send a file, or you send a link, or you send an email. However it gets delivered, but they're getting their money to help pay for their art and for their the production costs and their shipping costs, but in turn you're making it a lot easier on them. So if you're not really sure what to back, go for the digital.
And one of the reasons the both issues are total for $4 for digital release because it's easy for me to do. But I think everyone, once again, it's easy. It's a price point I think most people can find. I also have a indie community bundle, which is 25 PDFs across indie community for $15. So it's a little less than $1 per PDF. I think everyone
That's a pretty good bargain.
Yeah, that people can afford it, and also it helps out 24 other indie people who want to get their comic books out there. So give it a try. It's a small investment, and I try to price it as helpful to people as humanly possible. I don't want to, suck up everyone's savings. It's just this is something that should be affordable, should be enjoyed. Do what you can. It just, of course, on the flip side, it means I need so many more backers to hit my goals than at $2 a digital PDF.
Right, yeah. Like I'm with you though. I try to keep my stuff at like a reasonable price, like $10, get in tier. But then you can do like higher ones that give you a bunch more stuff, or you do the add-ons that kind of help you make up, that total at the end. But like I'm with you as far as the basic level. Just getting the book, it should just be like really something really cheap, unless you're making a graphic novel or a hardcover, that's a whole different story. But you can
buy all 6 covers for $32, which once again is less than $6 a book, which is almost cheaper than most real mark publishers right now. So my prices are maybe too cheap. Maybe, but back what you can. Everyone's appreciated. And sorry if I keep talking about it, but you let me talk about myself, and that's that's an evil door to open.
No, not at all, man. I just want to say shout out to here. We got DS Cartoons joining us. He says good evening, and
what
also
DS?
Deshaun Clark is joining us. Deshaun,
one of my homies. What's up, Deshaun?
Deshaun, what's up, dude?
He also shared the fire thing.
Johnny, you may have had him and his wife pass by your booth in New York Comic Con.
I vaguely remember. I think, they were. I think they were shopping George at the time. People love that spinner wheel. That's what it was.
They did.
Was that something you had, Johnny? A spinner wheel?
No. George did. He had a spinner wheel, and he had this really cool promotion worked out where you could spin the wheel. You got a chance at a free prize. And you also get, if you make a purchase, you get another freebie. So it's real cool opportunity, real cool thing he had going.
That's awesome. Yeah, I mean that makes sense too for New York, where you do something fun like that.
Even the noise, that's the clacking noise of the spinner attracted people over. You know what I mean? That is key.
That's good, man.
Yeah, man.
Good idea. And then let's take a look at JD's campaign here as well. JD, you want to give us a little backstory to New York versus the world?
Sure? New York versus the world on a Boston show.
Looking at this reminded me of like Escape from New York meets zombies.
I didn't realize it was New York. Time to shut this one down here.
Bring that back up.
I am just kidding. Let's get back in.
You're killing me, Keith. So the aesthetic, right? The visual aesthetic, what I'm trying to go for is that 1970s horror stuff. Like the Warriors or Escape from New York, where it's just that downtrodden, beat up New York City post-apocalyptic.
Like we call it urban decay.
I love that.
I love that.
I love that.
So the idea behind New York versus the world is when the apocalypse happened, they flooded the tunnels and they blew the bridges. So now nothing was coming into the city. It took them 15 years to clean it out. And once they did, they started to let in survivors from the rest of the world. But now, how do you treat those that may be coming in carrying an infection or probably didn't work as hard as you did to clean up the city? When you look at all the zombie stuff that's out there, right, some of the really good ones were always carrying an underlying message, right? It was you had some of the early stuff that was dealing with racism, or you had the one where they were in the mall dealing with consumerism, right? Or dealing with capitalism. This is kind of like my take on of that whole xenophobia, right? Of that whole build the wall situation, right? What do you do when you're on this side of the wall and you're trying to keep your family safe? And then you got the people on the other side of the wall who are looking for a safe place to keep their family. Who in that situation is wrong, right? You wrap that all up in a zombie package, and now you can explore a hell of a lot of topics without people feeling butthurt.
That's
smart
New
move.
York right now. This book couldn't be more relevant,
dude.
Right,
dude.
That's right
the thing,
now.
you know? And look, I'm not trying to say I'm a genius writer. No, not at all.
No.
I'm no Alan Moore. I'm not trying to put in allegories to this or that, right? I just feel when I'm writing it, oh my God, this really feels like this situation. Oh my God, I can't believe I told this when this scenario was going on. So the main character in this book is New York City. In the very first issue, we are taking our refugees who are first coming to the city. We're bringing them over to Ellis Island, and that's where you had your immigrants come in through first. So we're using that as a staging ground, the quarantine site, before they let people into the city. The second issue takes place around Coney Island. What happens when people are trying to fit in someplace else? And then our third issue, which is what we're looking to get printing for, is taking place in front of the Brooklyn Bridge. If to take a Star Trek analogy, if you are a red shirt, you got a better chance of surviving in this book than being the lead. Okay. So, there are carryovers from issue 1 to issue 2 and from issue 2 to issue 3, but it's not like you need to pick up the entire series to know what's going on. Each one is a standalone. And how do we see New York from different perspectives, right?
Oh,
so,
cool. I like that.
Thank you.
Even in looking through the campaign, it's like you get a vibe, a feel for New York. Like there's a certain feeling you get walking down the streets of New York.
Yeah.
Block after block after block to get home. Like that's part of what made the Warriors so poignant.
Yes,
because and believe me, walking home like 6 blocks from New York Comic-Con back to your hotel, like you're tired, you're sweating, you're drunk. Like, there's like a pile of trash this tall. Like just there's a certain vibe to New York, and like you definitely capture that, and it looks like you put that on the page.
Dude, there's a pile of trash here, and as you turn the corner, there's a bunch of hot chicks waiting to go into this nightclub, right?
Yes.
It's that
perfect
economy perspectives.
Yeah.
So you saw the covers for the book. These are some of the preview pages that's going on. That's our enamel pin. Those are holochrome trading cards. One of the cool things I've been doing is I've been rewarding backers who keep coming back. I don't have a frequent flyer mile program. I don't have that, business card where you get the 7th coffee free after 8 different punches on the card. right. But what I can do is say thank you to the folks who keep coming back, regardless of the campaign that they've backed. So right after the covers, you see one of the holochrome trading cards that's given for free if you are a returning backer. People who want it still have an opportunity to get it. It's just you got to pay the 5 bones for that. But other than that, I want to say thank you to those who continue to support us. This is our 24th Kickstarter campaign. I think we're doing good. We got a nice core group of returning backers, which I'm appreciative of. But this is the game, right? And it's always, how do you retain the old ones? We're trying to grab new ones. Right.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's part of the hook. The books are, for the first book, it's $10, right? And that covers the book and the shipping. So there's not going to be another extra charge after you pick it up. Then after that, the books are $5 a pop or $6 a pop if you do add-ons. I know a lot of people don't do this, and I'm not trying to flex but I've been doing this for a minute, and I do a lot of offset printing. I don't do print on demand often. I know a lot of people do, and I still use it for some of my premium cover stuff. When I get my bulk printing, right, I'm printing up 2,000 units. So all I'm looking to do is raise the printing cost. I'm going to make my money with selling the other stuff that's coming, down. Our books are coming out to when we pay for our shipping to come back on the offset printing. It's coming out to about $1 a book. So if we're selling it for $4, we're making a pretty good margin. That's why I'm able to do that $5 shipping charge on top of that. Again, not trying to tear anybody down. It's just these are the things that I've learned as I've progressed in my creative journey. If I want to keep the lights on in my home and keep making comic books, I needed to figure out the math at the end of the day. And trust me, I was not the math guy in school. But you ask me right now, right? I could give you percentages to books and how that breaks down and all that stuff.
That's a real world math.
yeah, real world math, brother. I can tell you what the shipping charge is right now on a 16-ounce book through the United States.
See, I hated word problems back in school, but if you put it down like this, business wise, I get it. Now I get it.
Substitute the train and
care,
coming from this side to a comic and shipping to.
I don't care how fast the train's going. I can care less.
So that's it, guys. I love comic books. This is my zombie stuff. This is my horror take. But I got a pretty diverse catalog. We do superhero stuff. We do fantasy stuff. We do action stuff. Oh, we lost Jeff.
Oh, geez.
Oh,
I was going to ask you guys a question.
Oh,
hopefully he'll be back.
Yeah,
I'm sure he just he'll be back.
He'll be back. He probably had to dip out or something.
One thing I was going to say, Jay, was one of my favorite horror directors of all time is George Romero.
My man.
And I feel like he was criminally underrated, especially with almost, I think just about every horror movie he ever made beyond the zombie stuff always had an interesting story to it, like where it was always about something else and not necessarily the horror. And I love that you're channeling that with the, what's that, Bruiser, Martin. What was that one where he did about the oh my god, there's so many. I can't.
Imagine if that brain had money behind it to actually push his projects, right? That's another genius of Romero, is that he made $1 out of a penny, bro. He was able to stretch his budget as far as he could to get as much of his vision up there on the screen. And it's like, how do we do that with comics? That's the indie spirit, right? We're making sure every penny counts, man.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's like $1 turn into 99.
Yeah.
But I love when there's a story that has like that subtext and it's about something besides the surface stuff, and I love that. So great job on that.
And xenophobia. So this one, our lead, he's a Korean dude, and he's going up against a cannibal. So in New York City, whatever you knew, whatever jobs in today's society, you flip it, right? So the firemen that we knew, the firemen in New York versus the world, they're the ones who bomb a building if it's becoming infected because they can't let it spread out there, right? The lead in this book, we're calling him a thinner, and he's somebody who lives on the outskirts of the city, thinning the herds before they get to the gates, so that way they don't overrun the gates. They make it easier for the gatekeepers to take down the infected before they can overrun those walls. So the thinners are out there, but the other thing is there's no prison system. So you're putting the criminals out there to thin the herds alongside the folks who are looking for a way to buy their family into the city, and they have to perform that same task as a thinner along with the criminals. And what happens when you got a family man who's out there in the wild with a cannibal, and they're both trying to fend off zombies at the same time, but then you throw in those digs of xenophobia, right? But how do you play off a bigot where you also have a family man who you're trying to embolden, strengthen up, right? Not make him seem like he's, just
like playing around in that gray area of like story, like, where you and I think these make the best stories is when the writer himself doesn't choose a side and lets the audience see it, how it plays out, and then let the audience decide where they go with it. You know what I mean? Like, I love that stuff.
Yeah, and I love when people come back after reading it and say that same thing, when they touch on the things that you're trying to go after, or even show you different perspectives that you don't know you were touching on. You're like, oh, I'm going to vibe with this person for a little while. I want to see what else they got to say, because this is a great moment, right? This is what we work for. We're not chefs, right? We're not Broadway actors. We're not musicians who get those immediate reactions. We have to build to it. We have to work for it. And that's another reason why these conventions are great, because you're getting that interaction there that you're not getting elsewhere.
Yeah. How great of sorry, Harry, go on.
No, go ahead.
I was just going to say, how great of a feeling is it when somebody comes up to your table and going, I just read this, and they start geeking out over your book. Like, it's such a good feeling. You can't work hard enough or pay enough money to capture that feeling.
Oh yeah. I geek with them.
Right.
Well, yeah, right.
Well, I think one of the coolest things that happened to me was at Plastic City Comic Con when I went there a few years in a row.
Awesome.
I had someone for the Nightmare Patrol. They had bought the first issue the year before. They came back the year and they go, we're trying to find your table because we want to buy the next issues of your book.
Oh, nice.
Plastic City Con has some of the best interaction I've ever had from that convention. I'm not just plugging because it was you, but it was cool having people. They came back and they actually bought a T-shirt. They're like, now we want your shirt too. It's like, all right, cool.
That's awesome.
Well, that's what I want. So I want comic people. Like, I want comic readers at the show, So
and what were you gonna say, Harry? Sorry about that.
I just want to, because since there's both two writers here, I mean, I know you've written a bunch of horror things, Jeff, and Jay, you've written this zombie. What's your favorite? Is your favorite genre of writing, like horror stuff, or is it like that your favorite? Would you say, or is it all kinds of?
No, Jeff, you want to go, brother? Go ahead. No, I think I'm a better horror writer than any other genre.
Yeah,
but I love the superhero stuff, bro. I'm a superhero mark, man.
Yeah,
my main title is a book our first Kickstarter for this year was Shield of the Interceptor, and it's a superhero book, right? With a guy that carries around the shield that was supposed to be paired with the sword Excalibur. And I've explored so many areas in that, and that's the fun thing, right? I'm able to incorporate what I liked about Fantastic Four and introducing people to new characters and new locations. But the zombie stuff, dude, I'm able to get morally ambiguous, right? And be like, you're gonna kill that kid that got bit. I don't know.
So that was one of the beauties of The Walking Dead. And more specifically, when the way they portrayed it in the TV show, because if you think about it, right, here comes Rick Grimes waking up from a coma where before he went into the coma, the world was normal, what we think is normal. When he wakes up, he re-encounters his wife, re-encounters his son, re-encounters his partner, and his partner steps in for him, basically looking out for his family.
They could have
now.
Go ahead.
But I was going to say, in that moment, he disagreed with the way Shane was teaching his kid. But if you think about it, Shane was teaching him what the new world was about.
Yeah.
And where Rick was still lost in the old world. And now the bad guy was actually the better father. And that was one of the beauties of that role, that story, everything about it. It was such a good inversion of we, the reader, having the thought process of what the normal world is like versus trying to think of what things are like in that setting, in that world when everything collapses. And I think it seems like you capture a lot of that, Jay, in your book. You know what I mean?
Thanks, dude.
Well, I was going to ask you what you thought of Dead City. Have you seen any of that Walking Dead spinoff?
I haven't.
You haven't.
and everybody keeps talking to me and saying, "Oh, they got your zombie Statue of Liberty on there."
Right,
Like,
exactly.
That has been illustrated for years. Prior to my book.
Even
talk to Arthur Saddam.
Planet of the Apes.
I think you got a lawsuit on your hands.
Yeah, right.
No, the author's already got a lawsuit out there. Don't worry about it. And he took your table 2 seconds ago.
But they could have done that whole thing like so much better. The Walking Dead, the finale. I don't know if you saw the Rick Grimes and Michonne.
I haven't finished it yet. I'm still working.
I haven't seen an episode since season 3.
Oh yeah, they're already out.
Okay.
Yeah,
I got it saved. I
6 episodes. Yeah.
Don't spoil it, Harry.
No, I won't. But I like it. But I mean, if they could have done it slightly differently, I mean, I had an idea, but I don't want to. Like my idea is because he gets kidnapped, right, Rick? They gets taken away by the helicopters. Everyone knows that part, right? So far, he gets taken away. But what if, like, somehow, because Rick survived all this time, like in this new dead world, you know what I mean? Like, what if he hasn't, he's been through a lot. What if he had his blood was something different? What if they took him away and experimented on him, and maybe his blood was a cure, and maybe he came back and like saved everyone, you know what I mean, or whatever. There could have been so much, and they
wanted him to be zombie Jesus
or something. Not Will Smith. No, not Will Smith.
Yeah.
But what if it kind of reminded me of the Wizard of Oz too? You know what I mean? Kind of because like when Rick
Harry, all you need is the George Romero films. No,
well, the reason why
Walking Dead out, just put it right in the living.
No, I've seen Romero stuff. The reason why his stuff was awesome
100 times, it's better than any episode of Walking Dead.
Well, the thing with Rick, though, I was going to say is like it reminded me of the Wizard of Oz because like Johnny said, he gets shot in his one world, wakes up months later in this like whole new world. It's like kind of Dorothy, whatever. And along the way, he meets friends to go find out where the cure is, in Washington because Eugene lied to them. there's never a cure in New York, Washington, whatever.
Minutia, yeah, like
I know.
Well, I would say
said, like you and her are the only ones watching the show.
Wait,
she wrote a comment here somewhere.
What is it?
He looked out for her, quote unquote.
Harry, no one is watching that except for you and me.
I mean, because once I start something, I gotta finish it. I gotta find out what happened to these characters. You know what I mean? Like,
well,
not me. I was able to give it up pretty easily.
Well, Jeff said that a lot of End of All has inspiration through Star Trek, right? So, Walking Dead obviously clearly has inspiration through the Romero series, the same way Jay's book has inspiration through those 70 crime movies and New York itself as a city. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Dude, I love that era too of New York movies, like
Walter Hill.
Yeah.
Warriors.
I love the more grimier it looks, the better.
Yeah, right.
And even like we were talking about before, like Invincible. If you read Invincible, you feel like you're reading like one part Spider-Man, one part Superman. You know what I mean? It's very much just a blend of those two characters, and there's a proxy of other characters that you could clearly see there.
Well, I mean, every great story is an amalgamation of something else. I mean, if you go back all the way down to the Iliad and the Odyssey, those were stories that were told orally for years and years, probably hundreds of years before someone actually wrote it down. That wasn't even that's like one of our first novels that we can point to. That was a ripoff of something that probably was told orally for generations before it. Every story borrows from somebody.
Yeah, and this is what you wrote here, Jeff. Is my problem with The Walking Dead is they always corner themselves with like how like first they had to have the governor. This is like this big bad villain,
Oh, and then great in the comics, though.
He was, but then once that storyline's over, now we gotta have someone more evil, like
Terminus.
It's like a same cycle over and over again, and like that's why Romero only made 2-hour zombie movies,
right? Well,
so it has an ending.
The story was the same every time. So a group finds a place to live. Everything is perfect for a little while,
right? And then someone makes a bad move,
and someone breaks in, chaos breaks in. They have to go somewhere else. They walk for a few issues. They find a new place to stay. It's perfect for a few issues. Things start falling apart, and then it just recycles again and again. I think I lasted like maybe 80 issues. I was like, all right, I thought I read this one already, and I kind of quit.
Yeah, exactly.
And then let's split up.
Yeah. That's my problem with it, and I think that's why I checked out of it early on. You know,
so this is where I think comic books need to look at wrestling. Johnny, maybe you can side with me on this.
Please, Jay, lay it on me.
How do you defeat the heel but keep him strong after the pin? Right? How do you do that? Right? How do you make the babyface lose? Right? But he still goes over. How do you do that? How do you keep people rooting for, the hero who just got, egg thrown on his face?
Heel retains the title through disqualification. That's the easy way out of that.
Right. But it's not always that, right? It's CM Punk, pulling out Drew McIntyre's leg when Damian Priest comes in and cashes the Money in the Bank, right? So now you just built out 3 different storylines from that one moment.
Yeah.
How do you do that in comic books?
Well, that's true. Well, I mean, CM Punk's a heel in real life too, so
yeah.
Well, it's sort of like think about like in Batman Nightfall. Bane was one of the coolest villains for that storyline, but then he lost. And then every time they brought him back to lose again, became less interesting and less intimidating at each time they brought him. Same with Doomsday. Fascinating, he killed Superman, but every time he brought Doomsday back to lose again, he becomes less and less interesting each time.
So how do you keep them strong?
You got to reinvent the character, right? You got to come in from a different angle. Like and there was kind of widely, kind of controversial is, when Doc Ock died, but then inhabited Spider-Man's body. Right, Superior Spider-Man was such a new and fresh take on just kind of making the villain the hero, or even Thunderbolts. Right, or you look at the original Thunderbolts with Zemo pretending to be heroes. I mean, that's great ways of reinventing it, twisting it, turning it inside out. What if, things like that? The What If series.
Or how about, Jason Goes to Hell, where in the last scene you got Freddy's claw coming and drag him out, right?
Yeah.
He's done. You think the franchise is over. Oh my God, huge pop. I can't wait to see what comes next.
Yeah, right.
Right. Or you like. So in the same vein, when you look at how the way Alien versus Predator came together, where there was just subtly that alien skull in the background, but that made such an impact in fandom that it demanded that it happen. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Well,
right.
I think, I think who did a great job in developing villains was Jeff Johns. Because you take a character like Sinestro, and then you develop into the Sinestro Core War. Sinestro gets the Sinestro Core. They leveled him up. Now he's just not himself. Now he's himself with the army behind him. Now you just explore that. And then after that, they explored him, they built upon him even greater, giving him some more power. And I thought they did a great job of leveling up villains. So you felt, okay, this is a new threat, same guy, new threat, because they did something totally different to make him even more intimidating the next time around.
Yeah. Black Hand and Necron, right? They built up that stuff. Yeah.
Anybody with a widow's peak, you got to watch out for them, just don't trust them.
Well, I also think that was one of the cool things that made the Civil War in the comics so awesome is that they took this real D-level villain in Nitro and he caused this one event inconsequentially that rift that shattered the Marvel universe. Talk about what a great way to reinvent a villain, right? And kind of make it fresh when he was like a D-list villain. And then even more so, they took a hero in Speedball who was so tortured by that happening that he turned himself into a villain and became like Penance or something like that.
Yeah.
That was a cool way of making things fresh and reinventing heroes, villains, that kind of vibe.
Right. I want to go back to what Jay said about characters. I think the moral ambiguousness of characters is the most fascinating aspect of any character. You give them a little something to question, the righteousness of a character, but hero or villain, and it makes them so much more interesting. I think I try to in my comic books make them as morally ambiguous as humanly possible. It's because let's face it, we all are that.
Sure.
Yeah.
Well,
I think that's definitely interesting as well. I love seeing that. I love seeing new takes on that. Go ahead, Johnny.
I was gonna say Harry because
I just want to make a quick comment because I know Jeff, you wrote that what's that the Nightmare Patrol with the monsters and everything else, and one reason why I liked Frankenstein in general, or Frankenstein's monster in general, and the Incredible Hulk. Not only are they green, but I like them because they didn't really ask to be made. You know what I mean? Like somebody brought them to life. Like somebody created, like by an accident, the Hulk came to be. You know, he didn't ask to be the Hulk. He didn't ask to exist. You know, and now all of a sudden, like he's like fighting. You know, the world pretty much. You know, and Frankenstein's monster. He didn't ask to be created. Like here he is now, like a misunderstood and feared and like hated or whatever. You know, and he didn't ask to be made. So I feel very like compassion for them. You know, because like I just feel kind of bad for them in a way. But
well, that's the thing. I think that people. It kind of bothers me that people miss out on. The Frankenstein from the actual novel is infinitely more interesting than the Frankenstein in the movies. You know, and how he is morally ambiguous, how he is such a good reflection on humanity on some level, and he's way more interesting than the Frankenstein in the movies, who is basically this incredibly dumb character. Which I mean, I get where there's some sympathy and apathy can go towards the character, but you're missing out on the fascination of having this new life that is rejected and. It's just learning from humanity from this outside, almost like from through a mirror, you know, trying to see what we look like. It's a much better character.
Yeah, definitely. I love when they deepen, dig into the characters like that. I think that's great.
Well, just kind of like in terms of morally ambiguous. I mean, I don't know who didn't connect with Luke Skywalker in the original trilogy when he was struggling to walk the path of the light, right? And seeing his reflection in his father's helmet, in Vader's helmet, wearing black by the third movie, you're like, oh my God, what's going to happen? You know what I mean? Just being a kid and just seeing all that unfold is just, and that was very interesting. That I think, if you're young and you see the original trilogy, that's kind of your first dabbling with like good, evil, the good guy being kind of like enticed by bad.
Did you ever read Dark Empire, the comic book series in the 90s?
I did not. That was Dark Horse, right? I did not read that one.
That was a wonderful series.
That was both of them.
Right.
One and two, yeah.
Yeah, it's what Star Wars sequels should have been. It was basically you had Timothy Zahn books, Evan Anderson books, and Dark Empire were what Star Wars sequels should have been.
Don't forget Shadows of the Empire.
I read Shadows of the Empire.
Shadows was great.
I love it. Dash Rendar, man, that's a guy that should have actually made it to live action.
Yes, and they put a young lady now as that outlaw spot for Dash villain in that new game that's coming out. Star Wars Outlaws.
Is Shadow of the Empire the one that's supposed to take place between Empire and Red Return?
Yes.
And they made a video game of that or something too, right?
On the Super Nintendo, right?
That was one of Lucasfilm's first efforts to kind of do like a cross-platform approach to a Star Wars story. So they made a novel, they had the video game, and then they had, I think, comics as well. And
some of the comic stuff was great. I don't know if you guys read that.
I never read the comics. I read the novel.
So they took the perspective of Boba. And how he was taking Han back from Cloud City to Jabba, and how all the other bounty hunters that were on the platform with him on the Star Destroyer are gunning for him to try to get Han. And that was a nice story. Shadow filled in the gap on how Leia got the Bouche outfit, right?
That's right.
How Lando got into Jabba's palace. It was great stuff.
It was a lot of setup. It was a real good setup.
A lot of setup.
It felt a lot like the way Rogue One feels, right? Where it's just like bridging like movie,
Best Star Wars movie ever.
Rogue One?
Oh, yeah.
That's a hot take right there.
Yeah, that is a hot take,
bro.
That's a hot take right there.
I will say that's the best easily of the Disney era.
Yeah.
Dude.
Actually.
Yeah, definitely best of the Disney era, but went to more planets than any other Star Wars film. Right? It was a closed loop. So the heroes, the characters you met, you're never going to see them again. So you don't got to follow anything else. The tie-in to the very beginning of Hope, and shit, Darth Vader just cutting loose, being
Yeah,
Darth
man.
Vader.
That was
bro.
cool.
That one scene of him just holding the guy up, and as he walks past him, slicing him as he's falling. I'm like, oh.
What about Kenobi? You like that one though? I mean, I thought it was kind of cool. I think now I almost have to watch that to see the bridge between the first trilogy and the next trilogy, right? Because you see Kenobi for the first time, meeting Darth Vader again and having an actual battle. You know what I mean? Like it's kind of
It was good. I liked it. I know a lot of people didn't. I liked it. I think it's right after the Andor series. I think the Andor series is the best one. Sorry, Mando fans. But
people said that to me. Like,
Rogue
I'll
One
have to give that one a shot sometime. One thing I wanted to point out, and then we'll start wrapping up for the episode here. But my wife made a good point about when we're talking about characters and what to do with them. But Omni-Man from Invincible, is so evil, but then makes as they grow the character, you start to question, the beliefs in them and stuff. You know?
Well, it's the line of villainy and fatherhood, right?
Yeah.
That's the beauty right there. It's what makes Magneto interesting.
Omni-Man gets infected with humanity. Like it's just, and he doesn't know what to do.
Or Dr. Evil. I mean, he's evil, but he's beloved. You love that guy.
Call him Mini-Me.
Speaking of fathers,
Tortuga agrees with you, Jay. Said I do like the one and done story, like Rogue One. Yeah. And Amy said plus Mads Mikkelsen. Yeah.
Mads Mikkelsen.
I love that dude, bro.
Yeah, he's the best.
He made the first Doctor Strange movie as good as it was.
Yeah,
best Bond villain, best
Bond villain.
One of the, hot take. He was a great Hannibal Lecter. He gave Anthony.
Oh, I love that show, dude.
Yeah, gave Anthony Hopkins a run for his money. I
just think they miscasted him in Doctor Strange. He would have been the best Doctor Doom ever.
And if you're not afraid to watch foreign films,
Dr. Doom, he'd be awesome. Yeah,
he'd be an awesome Doctor Doom. If you're not afraid to watch foreign films, I highly recommend a series he was in called Pusher, which was amazing.
Okay.
Pusher is a really good movie.
There was one. There's a film. It was on. I saw it on Hulu that he did where, I guess it was Bronson's
Valhalla Rising.
No.
Where he's the Viking.
No, where he hired a bunch of hackers to help him go after the person that killed his wife, and his daughter didn't want him to do it. It's a Swedish film, straight subtitle only. But now, the guy set up an entire. He turned his farmhouse into this command center for these hackers that were helping him find the people that killed his wife, and it's just like
that's cool.
I forgot the name of it.
Well, you said Bronson, so is the director of Bronson? Was it
No, I meant Bronson as in Charles Bronson.
Okay.
Oh my God.
Like Death Wish.
Death Wish. Yes.
Death Wish. Okay.
Yes.
Because there's a movie called Bronson. The director is Nicholas Winding Refn, who also did Valhalla Rising, starring Mads Mikkelsen, where he actually plays a Viking and doesn't speak.
Yeah,
it's one of those silent movies.
Cool.
It's really cool.
Did you see? Oh, go ahead, John.
I was just going to say real quick side note about that movie. There's a scene where he's on a boat and he's at sea, but when he's on the boat at sea, it's not water, it's black trash bags. And that's how they pulled off the effect because it was a nighttime shot.
Oh, nice.
Oh, weird.
Real cool. Yeah.
That's cool. The other one I was going to mention that I love him in is that Netflix movie he did that was like adaptation of that comic called Polar.
Yeah.
Did you guys see that where he plays?
I did not see that.
Oh, Johnny, you got to see that one. He plays like an old assassin. It's got like a fun style to it.
Right, a little tongue in cheek. Yeah.
Yeah, it's got a little tongue in cheek to it, but he's awesome in it. Like if you love Mads Mikkelsen, you'll love that movie.
It's based on a comic.
Good. Yeah,
Who puts out the comic? What company?
It was a Dark Horse, I believe, but it was from a while ago.
Yeah,
I think the guy that did it is it Victor Santos? I
don't know.
I think that's the guy's name. He wrote and drew it. Really nice looking book.
Cool.
He's got a style very similar to like Batman animated style.
Okay.
Oh,
And
cool.
It's a cool
Yeah,
book,
yeah.
and it's very almost silent. It had no words in it. It's almost like this guy running around getting
I
revenge.
love when you can
and
get a
stuff.
good story that
He was a
doesn't need
Mandarin
words.
too, right? Was he a Mandarin in one of the Mandarin guys
in Iron Man?
No, yeah, wasn't he? Wait, he was something.
No, he was in Doctor Strange.
Doctor Strange, right?
Yeah, Caecilius in Doctor Strange.
All right,
yeah.
That's what I'm thinking of.
And
But
he
he's
was in
also-
Clash of the Champions. Not Clash of the Champions, idiots. Oh my god.
Clash of the
Clash
Titans.
of the Titans, yeah.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
And I loved him as the villain in Casino Royale too.
Like that guy must have been around for a while. That and all of a sudden he's like been in a zillion awesome movies. And you wonder where he's been. You know what I mean? Like him and
him and his brother.
Who's his brother?
His brother played oh my god, in the Ahsoka, the one with the
He
blue
played
face.
Thrawn. He was Thrawn in the
yes, Grand
Ahsoka
Admiral,
series.
right.
Yeah, which I didn't know he had a brother until recently, because when I was looking at who's going to be at C2E2, both Mickelson brothers will be there. So if you're going to Chicago, you can meet both Mickelsons.
Nice.
Confession: I could not take Ahsoka seriously, because when I saw Thrawn, I just saw like a blue Elon Musk, and it just took me out of the show. He just looks like Elon Musk to me, and it just took me out of it. I couldn't take it. It was wild. But I like the character Thrawn, but the actor just looked like Elon. I don't know.
I know exactly what you mean.
You just couldn't take him seriously. I
Him
don't know.
and so that guy and Pascal, the Mandalorian guy, and he's been like in the Last of Us. He's. All those two guys have appeared out of nowhere almost. It's like it seems like it, like it's like wherever they've been, all of a sudden they're in every movie, like
they're good though.
They're really good. That's why I'm wondering where they've been my whole life.
Yeah. Right. Well, anyways, I'm gonna start wrapping it up here.
Well,
I do want to share some other stuff.
I was going to say, there's a couple of YouTube channels we need to promote now, real quick.
Yeah,
right?
that's what I was going to share here.
Yeah. I want to make sure we get the word out.
Two things. I wanted to share Jeff's YouTube channel, Traversing the Stars. Like I said, if you scroll through, look at all these great interviews he's had with.
Whoa! You interviewed Death from Supernatural?
That's my most recent one. Yeah,
dude, I need to watch that. That is amazing.
Thank you. Monday, Robert Wall, who played Alexander Knox in Batman, is going to be on. He's on Monday. I usually have a pretty good group of guests.
That's real cool, man. I got to check out that. I'm a big Supernatural fan. I'm on like the 17th viewing on TNT. So I'll get a kick out of watching that, man. That's awesome.
Oh, like I said, awesome. He's awesome. He's for a guy who's kind of he's iconic cool. I will say, for a guy who's kind of nerdy, he's a very, very cool guy.
Nice.
Yeah,
That's
I
cool.
always interview. Usually, it's split between comic book writers and actors. So like I said, Alexander, the guy who plays Alexander Knox, Robert Wall, will be on Monday. Jeremy Hahn will launch on this Friday. I got a bunch of big guests coming up as well from different TV shows and comic books. So check it out.
Cool.
And if you like Star Trek, I have like 30-something interviews with Star Trek people. So
very cool.
Star Trek. I have a whole channel playlist that you should pay attention to.
Who's your favorite?
My favorite ever interview. David Hewlett's been on from Stargate Atlantis 3 or 4 times, and Armin Sherman's been on as one of my favorites as well from Deep Space Nine.
I love Deep Space Nine.
Yeah, he's a fantastic novelist.
Quark, right?
Really? Yeah, guy plays Quark. Yeah, he's also one of the foremost authorities on Shakespeare in the country.
Really?
Yeah, he's like one of the usually when they do Shakespearean movies, they'll bring him on as an advisor because he's that well versed in it.
Wow,
more than Patrick Stewart, Sir Patrick Stewart himself.
Yeah, oh yeah, big time. Armin Sherman is like an expert in Shakespeare.
Oh wow.
Yeah, the book that he wrote actually has Shakespeare as a character. As before he became Shakespeare, he's a character in it. He's a phenomenal guy.
I just heard something funny about him. He was like being interviewed, and he said like he was on he made a guest appearance on Seinfeld or something, and he said like they were the worst. They treated him so badly. Like they were like jerks.
Really?
Yeah, because like I think they were probably all in their zone. You know what I mean? Like they probably like whoa. And so, am I hearing things? No, but like I think they were that maybe in his in their defense, I'm sure they're all like in their zone trying to get their get the script right or they're acting whatever. and didn't really talk to him much. But he was like, nobody shook his hand. Nobody like said, "Hey, welcome to the show." You know? So he felt he actually like he was asked that question recently, and he's like, "Yeah, they were like jerks." To him, so I'm sure. I think it's on YouTube.
He's awesome. Read his books. His books are brilliant.
Mm-hmm.
Okay,
brilliant writer. So yeah, check out the channel. So
the links in the chat.
Tim Russ has been on from Voyager. Robert Picardo from Voyager has been on. Will Whedon's been on. A bunch of people.
Cool.
So yeah, check it out.
What's your name's coming to Boston? Captain Janeway.
I know. I'm going.
Oh, you are.
I'm an autograph nerd. I collect autographs. I have a whole walls of autographs, and I'm definitely that one.
Yeah. My cousin's best friend's father is Robert Picardo.
Oh, wow.
So he was telling me how he was over his house and he saw like a photo and was like, "Hey, I know that guy." Then he's like, "Where did I see him before?" And then he put it together. He goes, "Oh my God, it's Robert Picardo, the actor."
Yeah,
I know him from Shocker.
Oh, Shocker! Oh, it was dope.
Shocker?
Yes.
Dude, I was talking about that movie this week, bro.
Did you watch that?
I loved Shocker, man.
He was good in that too. He was great.
Spider-Man Shocker? Like what Shocker?
No, Shocker.
It's a horror movie.
Uh-oh.
That jumpsuit. Oh my God.
Yeah, it's awesome.
It was an old school jump scare thriller where guy gets electrocuted.
Oh wait,
a serial killer.
I am wrong. It's not Robert Picardo. It's it's Mitch Pileggi from.
Oh, that is Mitch Pileggi. That's right. But they look a lot alike. Where you can confuse that.
Robert Picardo was in another horror movie though. Was it The Howling? Maybe it was The Howling.
Could be.
Well, I know Mitch Pileggi from Supernatural and Stargate.
Yep.
Yeah, so sorry about that. It's not
and
Robert
X-Files.
Picardo, but Mitch Pileggi was awesome in Shocker.
Yep.
But I also want to highlight too Jay's Unstoppable Comics website here.
Yes.
And he's also got a YouTube channel as well, right, Jay?
I do. I Saturday nights we go live on Jay the Unstoppable, JAYTHE Unstoppable, and we bring other creators down. We do trivia. We try to bump up some of the backers and the guys on the girls on the panel will jump into trivia, and whoever wins the most, whoever answers the most questions correctly will win a prize for one of the backers on our current running campaign.
That's cool. And you have Shield of the Interceptor there that we just cruised by.
Awesome too.
Yeah, it looks
So
good.
check
These books
out
look great, man.
Comics. There's a lot of great stuff here, especially if you're a superhero fan. This looks great.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Been doing this a minute, guys. Doing this a minute. Having fun.
Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah. So we've been going for almost an hour and 50 minutes. So I'm going to
flies
start
right
wrapping.
by.
Isn't that crazy? We've been talking. It doesn't feel like it's been that long,
Doesn't.
but so any other links that either of you guys want to share besides like any of your social media that you're active on or anything like that?
For me, it's Unstoppable Comics. You can find all of my social media links right there on the website. We got a social media tab, and you can catch me through Facebook, Twitter. I'm still going to call it Twitter. I can't call it anything else. Twitter and Instagram and YouTube. Anything else, I'm on it just to make sure nobody steals it, but I don't really engage on there at all.
What would you call it if you wrote a message on X? You just X something? What do you call it? You can't.
Somebody called it Twixter. I love it.
It's so dumb. Like
I'm just going to ambiguous my social media
Twitter,
post.
whatever.
I still call it Twitter. I don't even acknowledge that.
The TD Garden will always be the Boston Garden to me.
Exactly.
And and the Xfinity Center will always be Great Woods.
Exactly.
Yeah, these are all local references.
I
Boston reference.
Yep.
How about you, Jeff? Any social media you want
to? If you can find me on X under Versing the Stars. You can find me on X under Jay Haas Interviews. You can find me on X under Terminus. You can find me on Facebook under everything I just said. You can find me on Vector Comics, Instagram under Vector Comics, Vector_Comics, and Versing the Stars. And I'm whoring myself on every other social media platform too, just like Blue Sky and I'm trying to think what other ones are even on. If you know the social media, I'm probably on there somewhere. I may or may not be as active, but I'm there somewhere.
Nice.
We all have Blue Sky, just nobody uses it.
Yeah.
That was the coolest place to be for like a month, and then no one
Yeah,
uses it
right.
anymore.
That's like, I feel like that's every new social media that comes out.
That's
It,
where
like,
you got to
lasts
go
for
to
about a
promote your
month.
campaign, right? Because
Yeah.
the one time you happen to check in, it'll be like, oh, okay, there's a link right there.
Well, it's
Yeah.
like Hive. Hive was like the coolest place to be for almost 2 months before I guess they stopped for like a few months. Everyone just quit on it.
Yeah. That's what happens with these new social medias. But anyways,
I'm gonna update
yeah.
my Friendster page after the show.
MySpace.
Yeah, right.
I want to step further back on Friendster, Harry.
Yeah, right.
You have to be really old to remember Friendster.
Yeah.
And if you are watching this stream tomorrow on the channel, like definitely go to the description of the video. You'll find the links to both of these campaigns. And if you're a horror fan, check out Jay's. If you're a sci-fi fan, check out Jeff's. And also, they have two things. They have one thing in common. They're both about characters, and they're about something. There's the that layer of subtext, which I love. So both books are like that. So check that out. Johnny, Harry, anything you guys want to shout out this week before we end this episode?
I'm just continuing doing my side project. I'm working on a T-shirt for somebody right now, but I also did watch the interview with that you guys did with Jeff last time, and I perused it real quick. And I know you guys were mentioning the Monster Expo, whatever. There's one coming up in Nashua. I don't know if you guys know about that.
Yes,
oh yeah, dude, that's our friend
July.
That's Joe. That's our buddy
Sousa.
Joe.
He's on the channel maybe 4 or 5 months ago. He was on. We interviewed him.
Yeah, it's like pretty close, pretty local. You guys should.
Yeah, there's some good people going to that one.
Yeah,
I think he's got the mother from Fright Night who was also in Jaws or something like that, and a few other like smaller,
that one,
actors.
and you can go to that one because that one's July 13th and through the 14th, so you can go to that one and still go to Plastic City Comic Con. So perfect.
Yes,
Are you guys going to do Terrificon?
I think so. Johnny's definitely in. I'm still.
Yeah, I got a big.
I'm working on it. I might be there.
It's a nice.
It's a 50-50
halfway point. It's neutral ground for us. You know what I mean? Like Highlander, right? Place for Bostonians in New York.
Are you going to be there, Jay?
I haven't heard back from them. I reached out to them, and I'm still waiting. I'm like,
that's where I'm at too.
I'm ready to go.
Did you apply for Artist Alley space or Artist Space, or was it an exhibitor space?
Exhibitor space.
Oh,
see, that's the thing. Everybody tries to get an Artist Alley space. I know because it's affordable.
Yeah,
but I got a ton of merch. You saw the booth, Johnny.
Yeah, dude.
I need exhibitor space, man.
Yeah, I hear you.
Yeah, I usually get a press pass to them, so I usually go as press. So that's how I'm going to try getting. Because I want that Armor Shimmerman autograph. He's there, so.
Oh, nice.
So
I'm going to meet Samoa Joe.
Where are you at, Jeff?
Rhode Island.
Oh, okay. All right. That's also neutral ground between us.
Yeah, we're kind of like the stepchild of Boston and New York. We're the ones that kind of like off to the side, just like rooting for both.
Yeah.
Go, attack each other. You
just say, I'm new. They won't say whether it's Yorker or Englander, right?
Yeah, right. Awesome.
That's great.
Johnny, anything you want to shout out before?
First I want to thank Jeff and Jay for taking time out of your night to come on the show, share your projects with us, allow our audience to, peep some of your goods. So we greatly appreciate you guys taking the time. Thank you so much for, coming on the show.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, definitely. And then one other thing, I just want to give a quick shout out to a good friend of mine, Kyle Kaminsky. He's one of my West Coast friends. He runs Big Blue Comics. They have the notification page up for Resistance Bounty Hunter Bounty Hunter Blitz issues 1 through 3. So it's only a notification right now. So when you go on to Kickstarter to back End of All and to back New York versus the World, make sure you hit the notification on the Resistance Bounty Hunter Blitz 1 through 3 for Kyle. And that way, when he launches, I think in a week or two, I think it's maybe 2 weeks, you'll get notified.
Awesome.
Yeah. I also want to thank you guys both for being on the show as well. Remind everybody that's watching that we'll be back in 2 days on Wednesday night with the creative team of Zen, the Intergalactic Ninja. So I can't wait to dig into that whole IP and that whole property and learn the whole history there. So
Yeah,
we'll
for
be,
sure.
you know, that'll be great. And they have a Kickstarter going as well. Also, July 20th, Plastic City Comic Con, $10 admission. You know, I just pretty much got Jim Salicrup wrapped up for the show, which will be awesome. The former Marvel editor-in-chief from the 80s. Cool. And so he's going to be there.
Are
and
you running that convention?
I am. Yeah, it's my show.
Oh, dude.
Yeah, if you want to talk.
Oh, bro, I know what it's like. I ran a convention here in New York City.
Oh, did you really?
Yeah, 24,000 square feet, 175 members.
What was the name of your show?
It was I had it with two more partners. We had it was called PalCon.
PalCon. How long ago was that?
Dude, we ran it the weekend Kobe Bryant passed away.
Oh wow.
And then the next month, everything shut down for the pandemic.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, what we made went to survive life, dude.
Man.
So I know what you're doing with the con, brother. Way to be.
Yeah, thanks.
That's heavy duty stuff, bro.
It is. Like everyone's like, oh, you should do like 2 or 3 a year. I was like, you kidding me? I can't even do like the one is enough. Like it just takes so much out of you.
I get it now. You shave off all of your gray hair because
yeah, you get it.
The smart thing. That's what he does. That's what he does.
I know. Like I get this young, youthful look, but once I get up here, you'll hear all the cracks and like oh my
the
God.
joints the joints
cracking and
snap, crackle, and pop of the joints.
It was
right?
that old joke walking across styrofoam that that's what it feels like.
Oh, get it,
Jay. I didn't know you were actually in Brooklyn. Have you done Brooklyn Comic Con?
I haven't.
Have you heard any good things about them?
I don't know. I I'm not trying to tear down their bridges at all. I don't know where they're doing it. And guys, you know about planning logistics for a convention and stuff like that. Location is everything. You want to make sure that there's easy access. I don't even know where their venue is.
Okay. Yeah, me and Johnny kind of applied to it, but we haven't heard anything. And I was like, well, I'm probably just gonna not plan to go. Like at this point, it's a
little too close to.
It's like it's in 2 months, and it's like I haven't heard a thing. So
that's all right, man. They should give you the heads up, at least let you know that we're booked up. You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely.
Tony just his table. Sorry, Jay. Tony just paid for his table. I'm thinking, okay, well, maybe they're favoring locals before they go to like people outside of the area. But even then, like for somebody outside of the area, that's very short window to say, hey,
well, you said you got an exhibitor booth, right? Or
no, he switched. He switched it over.
Oh, switched to an artist. Okay.
Because we didn't think the big shared exhibitor booth probably wasn't conducive at the time. So
gotcha.
Yeah.
But anyways, we
digress.
We digress. Come back on Wednesday night. We'll be live again. We'll be having a great time as usual on the show. And then the most important thing, everybody, make sure you read some comics, So all right. Have a great night, and we'll talk to you later. Good night, everybody.
Night, everybody.
Yeah.